الحمد لله رب العالمين والعاقبة للمتقين الصلاة والسلام على سيد الأنبياء والمرسلين وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. اللهم صل على سيدنا ومولانا محمد وعلى آل سيدنا ومولانا محمد وبارك وسلم وصل عليه. لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله لا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم. قال الله تعالى في القرآن المجيد بعد أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. ولنبلونكم بشيء من الخوف والجوع ونقص من الأموال والأنفس والثمرات وبشر الصابرين الذين إذا أصابتهم مصيبة قالوا إنا لله وإنا إليه راجعون. صدق الله العظيم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the beautiful Quran, and certainly we shall test you, وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ بِشَيْءٍ مِّنَ الْخَوْفِ, we shall certainly test you with something of fear, وَالْجُوعِ, and hunger, وَنَقْصٍ مِّنَ الْأَمْوَالِ, and loss of wealth, وَالثَّمَرَاتِ, and loss of fruits, وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, so glad tidings to the patient ones. الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ, these are those people who when they are afflicted with something, الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ قَالُوا إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ, that when they are afflicted with something, these are the people who say, indeed we belong to Allah and indeed to Him we shall return. Amma ba'd. We are living in very testing and turbulent times, especially given the conflict and the issues that are occurring around the world. The Quran ayat I recited, I had chosen purposely for in times like this, as is the tradition and practice of the Anbiya alayhimus salam ajma'in, is to look what would Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say. That in these testing times, where else is better to get guidance than the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala Himself? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in this verse is telling us that these tests that come, when you lose wealth, when you lose your parents, when you lose your business, when you feel some pain, all of these things are from Allah. We shall certainly test you. وَلَنَبْلُوَنَّكُمْ, Allah sent you this. Then what does Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala say? وَبَشِّرِ الصَّابِرِينَ, that this is a test that I sent you. وَبَشِّرِ, meaning the successful one of the test. Who passes this test? As-sabirin, the patient ones. The reason, again, I'll come to this afterwards. الَّذِينَ إِذَا أَصَابَتْهُمْ مُصِيبَةٌ, who are these patient people? When they are afflicted with something, when they lose their parents, when they lose their businesses, when they feel some sort of pain or hardship, قَالُوا, they say, إِنَّا لِلَّهِ وَإِنَّا إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ, indeed we belong to Allah and indeed to Him we shall return. We have only connoted this to saying it when someone passes away. But the Quran is telling you this is something you say when you are troubled, when you are struggling. The reason I picked this verse, especially this week, was that part, that Allah said I will send you tests. The ones that are going to pass are the patient ones. So now we can look at the world we are in, especially the time we are in now with the conflict that is happening. The ones that will succeed are the ones that employ patience, the ones that employ hikmat. And the reason I mention this verse is because now people are not employing hikmat. And this is a time where they will try to play on our emotions. You must have all heard of the brutal tragedy that happened in Al-Ahli hospital. And as you know, this is something that they knew as soon as it happened, that this is going to spark a massive fire in the hearts of the people. Whether Muslim, whether non-Muslim, whether pro-Palestinian, whether not, regardless. But the issue with acting by emotion is that you will fall somewhere. You will make a mistake and you will say the wrong thing. Which is why even Sharia, our Islam, our religion, advises us that when you are angry and you need to make a decision, take 3 days off. Take 3 days before you make the decision and then make your decision. So you're not thinking through anger, you're thinking through hikmat, through your knowledge. But now what is happening, we are seeing what is happening around the world, and now people are saying, why is there no war? Why is nobody fighting? Why is there no massive kick-off happening? And again I say that this is the lack of wisdom. That the only solution that we seem to think of these things is fighting. We need to fight to solve these things. These things can be solved in many other ways. But again, inshallah, we will get to that. In this time, alongside playing with the emotions, it is a time of confusion. Everything you see, everything you look at, you do not know whether it is right or whether it is wrong. Whether it is propaganda or whether it is true. And especially based off WhatsApp. People do not think that what is the consequence of what I am sharing. Is it true or is it false? Just like myself, I was sent something, it wasn't to me, it was in a group, something a while back. And it wasn't about this conflict in particular, it was about some country and they praised the anthem there. And they said, look at this anthem. The first half was praising whatever their country was, and the second half was talking about genocide and killing a certain group of. One would read this and think, wow, this is disgusting. How could anyone believe this? But then a critical thinker, a person who has access to the phone and thinks, you know what, let me use Google, would search this. Okay, let me see if this is true what this person is sharing. And all it took was a 5-second Google search to find out it was a lie. It was fabricated. But this person has seen it, and because it was emotionally invested in the matter, because it served what he was thinking, he shared it. Not realizing that he has spread a lie. And again, this is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will ask him for. My point of saying this is that as our people complain that these people are lying, there is propaganda, there is false misinformation, false evidence, should we not hold ourselves to that same account? Should we not hold ourselves to that same standard? That it doesn't matter what they do, we need to know what is right. It doesn't matter what they do, we need to know what Islam says. And I heard another thing that they say that we need to show that we're not happy. And he asked them, show who? For decades you've been protesting outside of these parliaments, these houses. Why are you protesting to the people that already know you're not unhappy? Obviously you're not going to be happy that they're attacking your people. They know that. If you employed a bit of wisdom and you actually sat and thought about it, you think, you know what? Would it not be better to protest with our leaders? Or with those leaders that we are saying are asleep, would it not make sense for those who want to protest to go protest there? That would make more sense. But again, our people don't think like that. And then even when they are protesting, do our people remember our salah? When you are raising sadaqah for these things, do you remember your zakat? Do you remember what is farz for you? And they say this, that if you want to help other people, you need to become a man of Allah yourself. Now why do people come to religious people and say, Ya Imam Sahab or Ya Alam Sahab, can you do dua for me? Why do they ask them? Because they say, you're closer to Allah. If you do it, it's going to be better. And we think that we're going to help people across the world, but what state are we in? What is our connection? What is our relationship to Allah? The Palestinians, subhanAllah, these guys pray on rubble. We have carpet, we don't pray on it. So they would be closer to Allah. My point of all of this, just to summarize it in one way, is to say if we really want to help, we really want to see change in this world and in our lives, we have to liberate ourselves first from fitna. Then only else can we look to help other people, we need to help ourselves first. And by that is self-reflection. Where can I improve? What can I do better? And only then, inshallah, will we see some respite in the affliction of the Palestinians. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant us the strength, the istiqamah, the wisdom to reform ourselves and to become men of Allah. wa-ма alayna illa al-balagh al-mubin. Perform your sunnahs and inshallah the Jummah will take.